Welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. As you can see, right out the gates, got to be honest with you here, this is a pre-record today. Content's going to be fresh and good. Doesn't really matter that it was earlier in the day. Had to be. I had to drive 2 hours, and we've got mixing and matching going on and all this other stuff. So we needed to get the show out today a little early, just a little early. So there you go. That's the way it's going to be. All right, so that's out of the way. Thanks for listening to 93.3 FM, Real Talk Radio, local radio station, locally owned, only locally owned radio station in Tallahassee. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the support on Warchant TV. On YouTube, we appreciate you very much. Hello to everybody in the chat. Sorry we can't talk. Hey, East Carolina, team total over. We're off the gates. Doing well there, guys. There you go. A little 41. By the way, as an aside, if by chance you went the other way and took East Carolina minus 17 or 16.5, where I saw it at a lot of places, are you calling Tulsa today to ask to speak to the head coach as to why in the world, down 3 scores with a couple minutes to play, he kicked a field goal? Because you're a little jaded right about now. I mean, that'll hurt your feelings right there. That's why I tell you, folks, gambling's not for the faint of heart. Hell, for that matter, if you were on that ride with me last night, if you were on the Chase Brown over 9.5 first quarter receiving yards, and you saw the screen pass perfectly set up, and Flacco hits Chase Brown in the middle of the field with nobody around, and my man's going to walk for 20 yards, and he dropped it, and you fell to your knees because you had already checked off every other hit that your boy provided, you're not alone. Holy moly, I've never hated somebody I didn't know very well more than I hate that son of a bitch who went on to have a great game. But my God, man, I was on the right side. I handed you the winner. You're welcome. And Chase Brown screwed us all. Man, Tom, I don't know of a time. And by the way, Flacco flew past the touchdowns. Rodgers flew past the touchdowns. Brown, God dog it, ended up with exactly 2 receptions. Or else we hit that as well. I did hit a couple of my others. Anyhow, the drop in a screen pass that is perfectly set up with nobody around. How? You're a professional football player. My neighbor's old as hell. If we walked outside right now and I said, hey, a little screen pass here, I could throw it 15 times, he'd catch it 15 out of 15 times. Damn it, man. Unbelievable. Okay, so that said, I don't think, Tom, I've ever had a game where I do these same game parlays. I do them every week. I don't always provide them on Redemption Thursday, but I do like 10 of these every week. I go game by game by game by game in the NFL, and I tell the story of the game. And then I write it down, and I go, I think Gainwell's going to have a big day. I think Warren's going to have a good day. I think so-and-so is going to be targeted a lot today. Just based on what the teams have done, and you got all the numbers. It's never been easier. You got all the numbers in the world right before your eyes. Fantasy's never been bigger, so you've got a lot of outlets that cover these things. It's easy to find targets, easy to find what players do against certain defensive looks and what teams play, what percentage of the time. So it's not like you have to be a genius. You just have to sit around and do your due diligence. As Thomas noted, I have the NFL package, and it's one of the greatest things of all time. I watch every game. I watch every team. I love watching. I'm an NFL freak these days, guys. I'll go flippity-doo, 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 or I got the quad box going. I'm watching every game.
Yeah, your middle name is Scott Hansen.
Dude, I'm telling you, I could do that show. I watch games now, and I make myself mad for knowing things. Like, so, for example, I'll see a catch from Philadelphia's backup tight end, and I'll know who he is. I'll be like, oh, yeah, I had him last week. That was a good day. 6 targets. It's ridiculous. But anyhow, I love it. I love it because it's fun, and it is time-consuming. It's my job. It's time-consuming, but the information is easily gettable. Like, you can go to 6 or 7 sites whose people, that's what they do. They break down the analytics of a team, targets of a player, percentages that they run certain plays and looks against a certain defense. Like, it's never been easier to do this. So why do I bring that up? I had Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 passing touchdowns. First drive, touchdown pass. You know he's going to throw a second. As it turns out, both he and Flacco put on a show. That game was incredible. That will be the game of the year in my mind. I loved that game last night. That was awesome. I know a lot of people are like, oh, geriatric bowl, icy hot bowl, 240-plus-year-old quarterbacks. Cincinnati sucks. Look, man, Cincinnati was fighting for their lives. You knew they would be. Short week, Thursday night, at home, wide out. Flacco can spin it. They've got real wide receivers. So all of a sudden you're like, well, man, if my man knows the offense, we know what this offense can be. And as Tom has astutely pointed out, anytime Pittsburgh plays anybody with a pulse on offense, they don't get stops, even though they fancy themselves a defensive juggernaut. And the whole talking point going into the game was how great Pittsburgh's defense is. No, it's not. They hadn't played anybody who could sling it around the lot. Now they have, and they got beat. And Flacco's like, I wish we could play Pittsburgh every week because I got dudes now. I got dudes just pap, 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 pap all day long. It was glorious. So anyhow, Flacco flies over. Rodgers flies over. Jalen Warren flies over. Kenneth Gainwell flies over. DK Metcalf, 5 yards receiving in the first quarter. How about 39 on his first catch? Peace. We got this. Let's go. Everything played out exactly what we wanted. And Chase Brown drops a screen, or we're cashing a big ticket. I know you don't want to hear it. I thought about it in my dreams last night. I woke up thinking about Chase Brown's sorry ass dropping a screen pass.
This is one time where I'm okay with the kids' terminology. The Icy Hot Bowl is funny, but I think the Unk Bowl is a much better nickname. And I was glad to see the Unk Bowl was legendary, was something I was seeing last night on social media. And it was a good time. A lot of timing routes, and the guys, they were juiced for the game too. Way to go. Al Michaels is back from the crypt.
He cared, and Herb Street was great last night. Yes. Everybody was great last night. The stars came out to play. Aaron Rodgers was awesome last night. Joe Flacco was awesome last night. And Jamar Chase, forget about it. Whoo!
I think that ruins the experience for every other number one wide receiver in football that he had 23 targets. Good gracious. 23 targets.
Your boy drafted Jamar Chase number 1, and there's been a couple of weeks here lately when they didn't have Joe Flacco that I was ruining the day I didn't take Bijan Robinson. But I will tell you this, man, I basically won my league last night. I mean, that was unbelievable. Just keep throwing to Jamar, baby. I love Joe Flacco all over again.
Oh, I never stopped, buddy. I never stopped. But he's in this stage of his career and this stage has probably been 7 years. It's been a minute since he's been a relevant week-to-week starting quarterback. He is Ryan Fitzpatrick. He is Jameis Winston. That's where he is right now. Is if you get good Joe Flacco, you got problems. You got real problems on your hands. But there is going to be a week, maybe it's the very next game, where Joe's going to go 16 of 41 and throw 3 picks. And you go, oh, Jesus, okay, all right. Really enjoyed that Thursday night. And it usually happens against Pittsburgh. Think about it. Wasn't it Jameis against Pittsburgh in the snow on a Thursday night when he stole America's heart back, or was it against a different team? I think it was Pittsburgh.
It was Pittsburgh, and they beat them, and it was – oh, no, it might have been the Ravens. Might have been the Ravens, because I remember the upset was kind of significant. Like, we were thinking, wow, how the hell they do that?
It was the Steelers. It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way. Yeah.
So Mike Tomlin apparently is 0-7 now on Thursday nights as well. So if you're just looking for a money line play the next time the Steelers play on Thursday. Well,
it's Thursday night on the road that his record in conference is awful. He's 1-8, I think, on the road in conference. That's what it is. On the road, Thursday night in conference, I think he's like 1-8. He doesn't win those games. He doesn't win those games. Well, in fairness, we are about to, and I'll get to Florida State in a second. We are about to, just a heads up for all you sporting guys or gals. Okay, so you've had an underdog win outright back-to-back weeks on Thursday night at home. This is what will happen for the rest of the year. Just start betting, because we've reached the stage of the season where it's tough for teams to go on the road in a short week on a Thursday night. And the home team a lot of times wins those games. Statistically, over the last several years, the home Thursday night team, just the slight added benefit of not having to travel on a short week seems to make a big difference in these games. And so if you get a home underdog on a Thursday, I don't care who it is. You take that home underdog on a Thursday.
I don't think you're going to have an underdog situation here next week, but it's a good game, depending upon who the quarterback is for the visiting team. But it's Minnesota at the Chargers. Excellent uniform game, first of all.
Great
on a Thursday night.
Game.
That'll be a quasi-home atmosphere for Minnesota because the Chargers don't draw a home gate. But that's your game next week. We'll see if it's McCarthy or if it's Wentz, a quarterback for them. But in 2 weeks, you can put it really to the test. Assuming Lamar Jackson is healthy, the Ravens go on the road and they play the Dolphins in 2 weeks' time. So you get a chance to put that to the test. Dolphins home dog. You could at least bet the number at that.
Yeah, probably the number. I need the Dolphins to keep sucking and give me a big number.
This is one of the problems in the NFL. I was actually speaking to Gene Williams about this because, he's a DFS freak, so he loves matchups every week. And I asked him if he saw a trend on this. There are just so many games you have to brace yourself as an NFL fan that are stupid, and you just hope to survive that given night. Short week Thursday, everybody goes through that, and so you don't really care how. It's not about the way it looks. It's not about the process. Their short week Thursday is just about the result. Same thing with any international game, be it in Brazil.
Oh, yeah, you never know. Yeah, it's always an awkward, weird game. Playing surface sucks.
Right.
People are slipping everywhere. Yeah,
it could be Brazil or Berlin or anywhere in between. It doesn't matter. And you have one or two of these as every franchise every year. And that's terribly annoying that you just have to say, find a way. But that's what the league does. I was looking, our Thursday night game, do you know when it is short week? It is December. It is in December, and it is against the Falcons. Kind of an important game. I mean, a short week Thursday, kind of an important game to stick on a Thursday night.
Well, really cool that it's at home in Tampa.
That's
because
true.
I'll tell you what, if the trend continues, that's a sweepity-doo of the Atlanta Falcons is what that is. So you can get you some, Atlanta. That might be the end of your year.
That is Thursday, the 11th of December. So there you go.
Might be a nice chilly night down in Tampa. We should roll down there, do the show, and go to the game. Really quickly, Florida State played basketball last night. I don't know how many of you watched it. I hope a lot of you go back and watch it if you can find the stream, right? It was on YouTube, so you can.
It was, yeah. And I have to say, production quality was very good, and I like the announce team. You usually hear complaints in that regard. I thought they did a great job.
I just want to point out to everybody that if you watched, get ready to have fun. Get ready to have some fun with this, huh? Luke began the postgame with, I told you guys the first team to 100 wins, and they got to 100 first. It's a great quote. He ain't kidding, man. 109-105 Alabama, a team that went to the Final Four 2 years ago, the Elite Eight last year. Luke Laux takes his cast of misfits and goes into Tuscaloosa, and off they go. Off they go. I mean, let's get up and down the court. I mean, 79 shots from the field, 43 three-pointers. You saw stuff out of guys that you're like going to have to learn about. Cam Miles, I really like as a freshman. The Basong kid's good. Luke, obviously. Man, that is fun. Now, I also want to point out that Alabama going to the free throw line 49 times is nonsense. We got to slow our roll, officials. Look, I got it. There were a lot of legitimate fouls. And as Luke pointed out, their rotations were late. And Alabama does that to you. I got it. And we can't call this ticky-tack nonsense now. We have a lot of ticky-tacky out there. 49 free throw. Get out of here. Get out of here with that. But that said, the way that question was answered after the game by Luke, this is going to be so fun. These post games and these conversations with that guy. Now, I need him to win games, and he wants to win games. And he said, look, I'm not about moral victories. We lost the game. It's an exhibition game. I can live with it. But I do like the transparency that he's learned something about handling these conversations with the press in his time in the NBA. That is very clear. Like, this program is currently an open book. I just roll on over to practice when I want. In fact, it's encouraged if you're a member of the press or really rich. Those are the two things. If you're a member of the press or really rich, you're welcome to those practices. All right? So, good call, Luke. Good call. But the other part of that is, it's just, hey, I want you to know what we're attempting to do. I want you to know why we're doing it the way that we're doing it. I want you to know the way that it's supposed to look when we don't do it right. I want you to know when I make a mistake and I'm learning on the job here as a new college head coach, I'll tell you that I didn't call a timeout when I should have. I'll tell you after the game that when Alabama was on that run in the second half, there was a stretch where I could have used the timeout. I didn't. I wanted to see him get through it. I probably should have used the timeout. My staff told me I should have used the timeout. I'll learn from that. Dude, this is an open book. It's really cool to watch that play out. It's just refreshing. And they've got flaws. They're going to get beat up by some teams in the middle of the floor, down in the post. But, man, they're going to play in such a way that, A, it's riveting. And then, B, I think they're going to beat several teams they're not supposed to beat. And they may lose to some teams that they are supposed to beat. Like, you're going to be watching games where you go, oh, this week we have Boston College. I feel good about that one. We're going to be all right. And they're going to miss a bunch of shots. And next thing you know, they lose by 10 in a game they were favored by 6. And you're going to be mad. But then you're going to walk into the TLC CC, or you're going to sit down on your couch for a road Tuesday night game against North Carolina. And you're going to say, we've got no business winning this game. We're not going to win this game. And you're going to be on the edge of your seat going, we're tied at 100 with 3 to play. Let's go. Okay. Because stylistically, they're going to make it hard on people. And I'll tell you what, every one of these players are going to be in the best shape of their lives. They will never again in their life ever be in this good a shape, because that was also pointed out last night. Luke basically said, look, I told the guys, you think you're in shape right now. And for everyday Joe Blow, who's walking around this earth trying to be in good shape so that they can be there long-term for their loved ones, you are in great shape. But to play the way we want to play every night, you're not even close. We're going to continue to run your ass. You've got to be almost superhuman. And that gets me to realizing, Tom, all these years when we've watched Golden State play, when we've seen Steph endlessly run around, pick after pick after pick after pick, trying to get open to shoot threes, I just have such an appreciation for the kind of shape those guys are in. To play that style of basketball, which is what we're trying to play, to play that style of basketball over the course of 82 games, that's insane at an NBA level, and he's bringing that to college. So you won't have to do it 82 times. You got to do it, 30-something times. But you've got to be in incredible shape, and he blamed them probably not being at peak condition for what they need for all of those fouls, for being late on the rotations. All right, fair enough. But, man, it's one exhibition. It's a loss to Alabama. It's fun as hell. I think we're going to enjoy this.
Yeah, I was impressed, honestly, in the shape that they were in. The guys that were out there for the final 5 minutes, they looked to be in as good a condition as Alabama was. And a couple of those players, specifically McCray, he played 27, but he's got the ball a lot, so that's a tougher 27 than, say, Kobe McGee played. But there were a couple of times where there was late help or non-existent help in the last few minutes of the game where I thought maybe that's a fatigue thing, or late hands getting up to try and disrupt the shot or disrupt the pass. But you're just talking about staying in front of guys. For the most part, they were remarkably in shape for that down the stretch run. I think the hard part here, and you're right, is about predicting the result. Stay off of this team from a betting standpoint unless you just want to have fun when they're an underdog. It's
just take a bunch of overs early.
Overs, sure, but if you're talking spreads and money lines, man, you don't know what you're going to get night to night. And frankly, even live wagers, I wouldn't say, oh, they're off to a great start, they're up by 10, hammer them right now, or they're down by 10, guaranteed that they're going to come back. You're going to see some weird stuff you're going to see some weird stuff this year, which would include, I believe, you're up 2 or 3 baskets with 3 minutes to go and you lose by 6. You're down 9 with 2:45 to go and you win by 4. The amount of possessions here is insane. Now, Alabama wanted to run with us, so it'll be interesting to see how we do against teams that want a slow tempo and you battle on those tempos. But they chucked 79 shots last night.
Yeah.
They took 79 shots from the field. That's not including attempts when they were fouled. And they shot 43 3-pointers last night.
Yep.
This is a volume experience. So I also would caution you or encourage you, if you go to one of these games in the first half, you have to go get a beer or you need the bathroom and there's not a whistle, the ball is in play, you're not going to miss a whole lot. There's a lot of possessions out there. You don't have to savor every one of these possessions. Go on up, get the pretzel. Go on up, use the bathroom. There's going to be so many possessions in our games. It's insane.
That's a lot of fun. So I didn't think I'd get that excited about a damn exhibition game, but I did, and that's because stylistically it's fun. I also like several of these players. I think they've got a little bit of talent there. So this will be interesting. Again, I don't think they're going to be a great team. They are going to be a fun team, and they got a chance. They got a chance to do some interesting things. That's all I'll say. I don't want to put too much on it right now. You're right. I think it'll be fun to talk to Luke about this, and I'm sure he'll come on to talk about it. The battle of who sets tempo, because Alabama certainly wanted to get out and go. Yep. Alabama led the country last year in tempo, and Luke knows what he's doing. When he makes me laugh when he says, "I wanted to schedule Auburn, but they couldn't do it, so we scheduled Alabama." So we'll get it. No, man, he wanted to schedule Alabama. He wanted to see how. Because he wants to be faster than Alabama. So he's like, let's just see what we are.
Yeah, and he wanted to demonstrate to them with a live action opponent of this is how it can be. And even if Alabama was in fourth gear, I'm sure for 4 or 5 minute stretches last night, he could point to and say like this.
Oh, yeah, no, they got out. And once they realized what was up, they're like, oh, okay, so this is how it's going to be. We got to play. They started to go. They knew the deal. They're like, oh, Florida State's playing for real. Okay.
Yeah, the best sequence that we had, I think, was to close the first half when you're down a significant chunk because I think you're within a basket or two. I forget what it was. This is when I flipped it on and watched play-by-play with about like 9 minutes to go or 7 minutes to go, and the next thing you know, Alabama goes on a big run. But then we close like men, generating turnovers, making buckets.
Oh, yeah.
Chucking things up at the rim, offensive rebounds, and we walk away with the lead at the first half. Psychologically for this group, that is very valuable. There will be a period of time in Luke Lauk's career here where that means nothing. But this first go-around with this first team, as you're trying to enforce what it is you want to be about, that first half, I think, and of course they go the distance with Alabama. If this was a prize fight, there is no knockout. They do go the distance. Oh, yeah. But that first half, the way they closed it after it looked like Alabama was pulling away, I think is wonderful psychologically for this team because they don't play another exhibition for a while. I think it's on the 26th. They play their next exhibition against Florida A&M. That's not going to give them the same kind of test as this. So they get to work with this tape for a week and a half. This is
It's perfect. Florida State's injury report is out. We've got Lee Sterling later in the hour. We got my mother in hour number 2. The third hour will serve as a pregame show for you guys. Out for this game, Cam Davis, Gavin Blackwell. Great pickup, Gavin Blackwell from North Carolina. Jabril Rawls, that hurts. DeMonte Diggs, Quindarius Jones, Chase Lofton. Good God, Chase. Ethan Pritchard, obviously. Josh Raymond and Tariq Mallory are all out. And questionable, Deuce Robinson, Edwin Joseph, Roydell Williams, Javion Buggs, Caleb Lavalley, and Micah Pettis. Probable, Castellanos, Squirrel White, Randy Pittman, hey now. Ashland Barker, hey now. Kevin Wynn, hey now. Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Libations Friday rolls on. That means my man Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, set to join us as he's wont to do. That's a good thing. Jeff Cameron Show rolls on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, on a roll lately, joins us as he does every week. Hey, Lee, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Down here in Miami, not able to attend the game. A little too busy doing shows until about 11 o'clock at night, but excited about the game. I think it's going to be a fun game. A lot of scoring.
Yeah, I like Miami in that game. We'll talk on it in just a moment. Georgia's given 7.5 in some places for Ole Miss. Georgia doesn't really pull away from people. Will this game be close?
So if Georgia loses that game, and I do think that Jackson Arnold crossed the line, the goal line. I thought, first of all, it took too long. You don't take 10 minutes to decide whether he gets across. And
agreed.
I wasn't watching it on a little, 2x4 TV on the field, but looked like he got across. It's 17-0, game over. But give Auburn, you got to say to Auburn, they got to find a way to be better than that. They just totally quit after that ruling went against them. So Georgia, to me, I don't think they're that great. I mean, they got to play the last 2 weeks, Kentucky and Auburn, the two worst offenses in the SEC. I mean, their home winning streak was ended a couple weeks ago against Alabama, and the score probably should have been greater than the final score. There's no guys that I really fear on their defense anymore. You used to have to say, okay, got to watch out for that guy and that guy. And Ole Miss, if they would have put the hammer down last week and won by 20 or 30 points, this line is 2.5, 3, not 7.5. I love this kid Chambliss. I think he's special. I know it's his first road game at Ole Miss, but I don't think the moment is too big for him. Even if he throws an interception, I don't think it's going to phase this kid here. I think the wrong team's favored. Get ready for some lane train trolling here. Ole Miss, 27-24.
He's already trolled this week, and it was a good one.
And he'll get even better if he wins.
Oh, yeah. No, it'll be good. It'll be good. All right, so you're taking Ole Miss. Duke minus 1.5 against Georgia Tech. Is this Georgia Tech's first loss of the year?
I don't think so. I think they're by far a better team. And Duke at home has not fared that well. They have no depth on defense. They can't substitute many guys. They just don't have the guys there. In fact, their two home games against decent teams, against Tulane, they gave up 34-45 to Illinois. Georgia Tech's a different animal than they faced. Haynes King has run for almost 450 yards and 9 touchdowns on the year. Duke was already outgained by 117 yards in that game against North Carolina State. Even Cal scored the first 3 possessions of the game. Both teams, a lot of people don't realize this, both teams are 3-0 in conference. Mm-hmm. Whoever loses this game is going to be behind the sticks here trying to get to the ACC championship game. I think Georgia Tech is a better team as long as they don't turn it over 3 or more times. They almost coughed up the opening season game against Baylor, but I think Georgia Tech's the right side, something like 34-26.
Miami, the aforementioned Canes, rolling right now. Clearly the best team in the ACC and a team that could be called at the end of the year the best team in the country. Right now it looks like a collision course between them and Ohio State. But they got to be careful because they've had some successful starts in the past, and then they always have the inexplicable game that we kind of raise an eyebrow and everybody points a finger rightfully at Mario. They're big favorites here against a Louisville team that has struggled to get stops, 13.5 points. What say you?
So here's what happens. When you take a top 3 team in the country, you're paying a premium. They add 2.5, 3 points. I think the line should be 10.5. Now, why did Louisville lose to Virginia? Why do they lose games over and over again? Usually their quarterbacks throw interceptions. So Miller Moss, pretty good quarterback. He moves the ball down the field. They'll score some, but you get right in his face and he'll release the ball and he'll release it high. He'll take chances here, and he's probably going to throw 2 interceptions against his defense. But he does have some weapons. Kid Brown, from Homestead High, been nicked up, but with a week off, he should be ready to go. And their 2 receivers, Bell and Lacey, I think are every bit as good as Miami's top 2 receivers. So Louisville does also have a pretty good defensive line. They changed the game against Pittsburgh, got some pressure on the quarterback, but I think Miami will win this game 42-31. If I had to pick a side, I'd take Louisville, but the best play here is the over. I'm giving it to my clients. Hint, hint, over 50.5 total points. I
already bet the over, so you're right. you and I are right there, by the way.
It's crazy, Jeff, how often you and I think alike.
We do. I had East Carolina team total over 35 last night, and that hit for me, so that was nice. We got 41 last night from East Carolina.
Right.
But, yeah, we do. We tend to think pretty similarly there. All right, so my Noles are a mess again. 3-game losing streak has Mike Norvell on the hot seat. There's already real discussions about whether or not he survives the year. I can tell you this, Lee, if they lose to Stanford, he will not. He'll get fired after the game. They won't lose to Stanford in all likelihood. If they care to be there, they definitely won't lose. But will they cover 18?
They lose the game. They shouldn't even allow them to get on
back on the plane.
Yeah. I mean, just tell them, hey, find your own way home. It's also same way for the Dolphins in Cleveland.
Right.
They should fire the GM and the coach, whichever team loses that game. Here's the thing with Stanford. They were in the game last week against SMU. They were down 24-10, and they're driving for a touchdown. Quarterback throws a pick six, 96 yards. And
cost them the game. Yep.
Pick six. When you throw a pick six in the red zone, 85% of the time you don't cover here. They run the ball a lot. I have Florida State winning this game, something like 35-23. So I have Stanford covering here, but not a game I'm going to be involved in with my clients. But if I had to pick a side, probably Stanford.
You know, it's been a lot of fun to watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get off to this 5-1 start and find ways. And Baker Mayfield, you can make a legitimate case as the MVP of the league right now. It's been unbelievable. But I still feel like the other shoe's going to drop with all these injuries that they keep having to try to work around. And I think maybe it's this week. The Lions are favored here. Would you take Lions or Tampa Bay, my beloved Buccos, who keep finding ways?
All right. So last year when they played, Tampa Bay won 20-16.
Yep.
In that game, Detroit was 1 for 7 in the red zone.
Yeah.
Some really bad turnovers, and play calling was not good. But Detroit, after a loss, probably no better team. I think they're something like 10-2 the last 12 against the spread here. This might be the game where Detroit, as we know, in the dome on turf, that's where they usually play their best, and they're great after a loss here. They might have the lead and might be able to run and hide here. Hate to say it, but I like Detroit here, 34-21.
You and me think alike yet again. Your game of the week is an all-time classic rivalry. It's always played this time of year, this particular weekend. It's nice to know there are some still college football traditions that are in place as we become pro football every day. So, you know, that's nice to see. Alabama and Tennessee is what I'm alluding to. Yep. That's your game of the week. How can folks get it, Lee?
First 10 callers, call 800-400-9741. Think I can put them on the right side of this Bama-Tennessee game. You want to get it for free, 800-400-9741. And how about this, Jeff? 4 weeks ago in the NFL, had 5 games, and we went 5-0. Felt great about it. 3 weeks ago, did it again, went 5-0. 2 weeks ago, put out 5 plays in the NFL and went 5-0. And then I let everyone down. Last week, put out 5 games. I went 4-1. We're on a 19-1 run in the NFL on Sunday. So what we have, it's called Lee's NFL Sunday Golden Ticket. It's 4 weeks of games, 5 games every single Sunday, just $197. So you want to try us out. We even had the Bengals last night, was our only play. Felt strong. It was a big move for us. Love the card this weekend. You want to try us out on Sundays for 4 weeks, just $197. It's Lee's NFL Sunday Golden Ticket, one place, ParamountSports.com.
Lee, before I let you go and we sign off, I just want to say you are a former quarterback, and I have to tell you that I tend to try to go to bed by 10 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night these days. Yep. But when you get a game like we had last night, 2 old dudes slinging it around the lot, yep, I was invigorated, enthralled. Those 2 guys throw the prettiest passes in football. Flacco's release is heaven on earth. I could watch a video, a montage of Flacco throwing spirals for 2 hours. Tell me you're not the same way.
I was, well, first of all, I was happy because I won the bet, but both guys really can still sling it. So the arm doesn't go first. It might be the legs, but certainly not the arm. Even Max Scherzer at 41 did a decent job last night. So, you know, with the training these guys had, if we had that going back, you know,
back in the day,
we might have been contenders, you and I.
Be good, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Right. Thanks, Jeff.
Take care. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, joins us every week. We always appreciate that. Get that game of the week from Lee and get that golden ticket on a Sunday, right? Yeah, I'm not kidding. Tom and I were talking about this earlier. I could just watch Flacco throw the football, just like standing in place, throwing at a target or something. I could just watch that. They did a good job on the broadcast last night of showing the different angles and the tight spiral. And it was funny to listen to Herb Street talk about it because, he's a former quarterback, not a good one, but he is a former quarterback. And you can hear it in his voice. I think it's got to be true of like everybody that's ever played quarterback or even just appreciates a well-thrown ball to sit there and watch the tightness of that spiral. Now, listen, Aaron does things that very few people in the history of the sport can do in terms of angles, arm slot, throwing on the run, and just a flick of the wrist. That's a different thing. That's a release thing that it's kind of uncanny. I mean, he's fun to watch that way. In terms of Flacco, though, standing tall and letting it go, woo!
Yeah, what you've got there is a difference between a third baseman and a shortstop.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is more the middle infielder type where he can kind of move around. And then Flacco, he rears back and fires and you go, good God, he's going to put a hole in the first baseman's hand. It's, me and Flacco, we go way back. Those throws in the 40 seconds before halftime were my favorite. The first one to Chase, which ends up being waved off because he has to resecure the ball going out of bounds. They replay review it. That's one of the prettiest balls I've ever seen. Just because
it's gorgeous, yeah.
You're throwing to a spot and it's all timing. It's a receiver you haven't worked with. Of course, he's an unbelievable receiver, but you still have to put it in a football-sized window, and he does. Yeah, he's electric. And then you saw the stat on Rodgers' throw at the end of the game, the Hail Mary, which everybody holds their breath for. That is the longest air yard throw tracked by NFL Next Gen data since 2017. It was just under 70 yards in the air down the field.
And he's 41 years old.
Yeah, it's 8-year high in terms of distance thrown on a football. It was Aaron Rodgers at the end of the game last night.
And it was a tight spiral the whole way. It's ridiculous. Like, that is insane. And also, very underrated was the scramble and throw to the tight end, who he hit 150 times last night, for the long touchdown, the 60-whatever-yard touchdown. That is a perfectly thrown. Also, one final thing. The touchdown to the tight end, Fairburn or whatever, in the middle of the field late in the game, the safeties are back. There's no window. Like that, at field level, there is no window, and he just flicks to the only spot on the field. It's perfect. It is so perfect that you just think, how in the world did you even see that? And then also to have the stones be like, oh, I could fit that in there. It's crazy.
There was, 14 years ago, the Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers opening Thursday night football game was a game played by two quarterbacks who were at the height of their powers. It was essentially a perfect night for both quarterbacks, and it came down to whoever had the ball last. The final score was 42-34. Packers won that night. And Rodgers threw for 312 and Brees threw for 419 in Lambeau to start the season. This game was like that.
Yeah, it was fun.
You're going to remember this game for a long time.
For people who didn't see it, I feel bad, and I get it, man. You go to bed, it's a work night. I couldn't go to bed. My wife went to bed. She's like, you're staying up? I go, this is incredible. I'm not going to bed. I just got done having this conversation that I normally go to bed. I can't stay up anymore. No, I did not Tony Kornheiser this thing. I was leaning up. My oldest son came out and watched with me, and I usually make him go to bed. And he's like, this is awesome. I go, yeah, this is awesome. You are seeing two dudes turning back the clock, slinging it. This is fun as it gets right here.
Yeah, here are the final numbers for that game. Aaron Rodgers that night, Packers won 27-35 for 312, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a quarterback rating of 132.1. He also ran 4 times. And Drew Brees, 32 of 49, lesser talented team, did everything he possibly could to keep them in the game. Devery Henderson was the leading receiver, but 419, 3 touchdowns, no picks, quarterback rating of 113. Basically, two guys that throw gems at the same time, which happens in baseball all the time because aces match up and you'll see a 2-1 ball game. In football, you don't get a ton of these. It sounds like you do in this day and age, but you really don't get a ton of these where two quarterbacks just go friggin' AWOL in terms of how great they are.
Joe Flacco, 31 of 47, 342, 3 TDs last night. He was just It was beautiful. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Next hour, we get a chance to bet with Mama. I'm going to bet you money ahead of time that she calls this the toughest week yet. Now, not just because she thinks every week is exceedingly difficult, but because it's a really good week. I mean, it's a good week of games. There is a whole lot of and it started last night. It started last night, but it's like you kind of thought that might have upset written all over it, given the desperation Cincinnati. Because if you think about it, the Steelers go into that game with a stranglehold on the division. In some ways, you could argue that they would have won the division with a win last night. But the Bengals, because they started 2-0 before the Burrow injury, were not completely out of it yet, but they had to have a win. They get to 3-4, they're still alive. This is still a thing. So you knew you were going to get their best effort. And it was the second week that Flacco was there, so he's digested more of the offense. You're like, okay, we could get something good.
Yeah, let me interject really quickly here. It gets very interesting, desperate very quickly for the Steelers. Here's their schedule. Their next 6 games. Packers, Colts, Chargers, Bengals again, Bears at Soldier, and Bills. They really could have used that win last night to put them in with some breathing room. That could get really dicey really quick for Pittsburgh.
Well, just to my point, we'll look over all these games, but the Rams and Jacksonville right off the bat is a great game. If you're a Butts fan, make your way over to Jacksonville. Oh, you can't. It's in London. What am I talking about? Yeah, that's so ridiculous.
That's a good London game, though. That rare is the bird of the good London game.
No, it is a great London game, but I kind of feel for the people of Jacksonville. They get farmed out every year. They're like, yeah, we'll send you to Toronto. We're going to send you over to London. You got Brazil and then Mexico. You got a couple home games there in your sorry-ass stadium.
I don't understand it. They're such a great fan base, beyond reproach. I don't know why this is done to them.
Well, they have an inferiority complex, but I do think they're not bad fans. I do. It's just, that's a toughie, man. Come on. Stop sending our games all over the globe. Are we playing in Japan next year? What are we doing? It's ridiculous. Like, we're a grand experiment. Like, if you're a Jacksonville fan, the NFL is just effing with you. Like, hey, do you think they like football in Norway? Let's send them to Norway. Take one of their home games and send it to Norway.
I think they actually would like football in Norway.
Oh, yeah. I think they would to any Viking country. Yes.
Yeah. We have a special NFL Red Zone edition from Okinawa.
Well, next year we're sending Jacksonville. Now it's going to be tough. We're going to give them an extra few days, but we're going to send them to New Zealand, and we're going to see how the folks in New Zealand really like the NFL. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, but yeah, they're always shipping them off. But anyhow, that is a good London game. But oddly, you've got a battle of the two mighty suckfests in Miami at Cleveland. Loser, obviously, steel cage match goes home. That's the end of that. I think that oddly, Philadelphia at Minnesota is a great game. And what I would say about oddly is, what are those two teams? What are they? There's a battle for some identity here.
Well, the Vikings defense is once again good, and Flores just keeps doing it. I got to tell you, I had them on my fantasy squad, and before week 1, I dropped them because I didn't like the first couple of weeks worth of matchups and the injuries to their offense. I thought, it's bad. I should have kept them, buddy. They're really good defensively again. So you've got an interesting matchup when Philadelphia has the ball. But I also think a lot of Vikings fans aren't too ashamed to say that McCarthy's questionable. Oh,
tragic.
What do you know? We're going to go with Wentz again this week? Oh, okay.
Colts Chargers is a good game. Atlanta on the road at San Francisco is a good game. Tampa Bay at Detroit on Monday night is a good game. I mean, we got a lot of good games. It's a good slate.
Even that super late 10 p.m. Monday Night Football, which go F yourself, NFL, 10 p.m. on a Monday night. I like watching the Seahawks play, man. Obviously, they couldn't miss offensively when we were out there 2 weeks ago. Old Darnold's playing well. I like that team. They're fun to watch.
Well, they're well coached. I like that coach. And, Houston, Houston, I start to feel about Houston the way you do Arizona. I'm kind of like, why are the Texans on my television?
I'll never judge you for that. Yeah, because the Packers are playing the Cardinals in Arizona on Sunday, and you know what?
You won't see a second of it.
No.
I will, because I bet on every NFL game. So I will have it on my ticket, and I will revel in it. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Introducing Harry's Plus. Oh, I've told you about Harry's razors before. Here's a little bit of the shaving cream they sent me. Thank you. Sent due to Beeper. Also, Harry's got the travel pack razor. I got the Harry's in the back bathroom. I got the Harry's for my kids. What are we talking about? Well, they're high school kids. One of them's a senior. He needed a good razor. Harry spent 10 years developing their most advanced razor yet, an entire decade of R&D for the smoothest possible shave. And I can attest to that because I shave every morning with Harry's. And you won't find a better blade. And I've tried all of them. Refined blade technology. I could tell you about that. I could talk to you about the quality, the barbershop quality shave. Feels like almost like a straight razor. It's unbelievable. And their razors still cost less than Gillette Fusion, which is crazy. So you get this premium shave without this exorbitant price. Risk-free trial right now. If you don't love your shave, Harry's will make it right. No questions asked. Here's what you do, guys. For a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/warchant. Get you a Harry's razor. The set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, one refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shaving gel. Got that too. Yeah. And travel cover to protect your blades when you go on the road. Just head to harrys.com/warchant to claim this offer. And after you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support this show, the Jeff Cameron Show. Support Warchant. Tell them that we sent you. That's right, harrys.com/warchant. Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of what we're doing on a Libations Friday, loosey-goosey edition of the Jeff Cameron Show. Mentioned it in hour 1. I'll mention it in hour 2. This is pre-recorded. Did it earlier today. Had to. I'm on the road today, so this is the way this had to work. Thanks for listening. All fresh stuff, though, all from today, with the knowledge of what occurred yesterday, which includes, Tom, something we didn't get a chance to really delve into. How about that contract, Curt Cignetti? What are we out here doing, college football? What are we out? You better hope he's not just having a moment. You better hope he's not just having a moment, because you'll be bent over for a lifetime, basically, if this thing goes south on you next year. I don't know that it will, man, but it did get back to something I said yesterday. And I said on Monday, and I said on Wednesday, and I said this is a perfect representation of modern college football. You don't have to leave Indiana in order to compete for a national championship. You want a clearer picture of the modern day landscape of college football? You can't get one. It's no more clear than what that snapshot revealed to you yesterday. You have a coach who is the it coach in all of college football. Everybody mentions Curt Cignetti's name. Florida, Auburn, anybody even remotely thinking about firing their coach. Obviously, Penn State is going to turn to Curt Cignetti. He's from Pittsburgh. They're going to call him. They're going to have the conversation, right? Along with Matt Rule. We'll see if Matt Rule goes home, right? Okay, all of that. You know that. And just like that, Indiana, who's never, quite literally, never done a damn thing in football but suck to high heaven for the entirety of your lifetime and my dad's lifetime and his dad's lifetime. That dude's been dead for 55 years, and he never saw Indiana when he was alive being any good. There you go, right? They walk to the table and go, look, we don't want to deal with this. We know Penn State's already called your agent. I know Florida might call you here in an hour or so after this weekend. We know what's about to come down the pike. Oh, yeah. By the way, last year when you win 11 games and you go 11-1 and you make the playoff and somehow Indiana is in the college football playoff, and yeah, we benefited from a weak schedule, but you've got some magic to you. We extended you last year. People forget. My man was making $600,000 at James Madison 3 years ago. $600,000. He's now imagine this. You're making $600,000 at James Madison. You get the job at Indiana. They pay you $5 million-ish, okay, to come and take that job. Last year, you go 11-1 in year one. They go, oh, man, we like what we see here. How about we extend your contract? Why don't we add some years to the contract? And they do. And they give them a little bump, too. And then you go and beat Oregon, and the timing couldn't be any better because you're proving you're not a one-hit wonder. You got a chance to actually win the Big Ten. You did beat a big dog, unlike last year. Now you got a chance to make the playoff again. They're likely going to the college football playoff, everybody, for the second consecutive year. And this guy gets a contract that is absurd. $11.6 million annually. Top 5 highest paid coach in all of college football. It's cemented. The deal itself goes on for like 150 years. Like if Cignetti plays it out, he's going to end up being 72 years old when it's all said and done. 72. And they are in. They're all in. And they better hope it doesn't go south. I guess, Tom, the other way to look at it is that if you're Indiana, your time is now. For the first time ever, your time is now. This is it. You have never had an appetite for college football, ever. All you've ever cared about is Hoosiers, right? All you've ever cared about are the farm kids shooting hoops all day, all night long. All you've ever cared about are national championships, Steve Alford, Isaiah Thomas. You're just thinking about Indiana basketball 24/7. But the landscape changed in more ways than one. Basketball ain't it. You're not making all that much money off of basketball. And you really haven't been all that good in basketball in some time. You freaking stumbled upon a gym by accident. You got this dream of a coach who walks into Indiana with a massive amount of swagger and says, we're going to win. Tells everybody in his opening press conference, we're going to win. I'm great. I've always been great. I will continue to be great. Tells the world to Google him if you don't know who I am. I'm better than anybody coaching in the game right now. I don't care what you think that looks like. I stand here before you at the dais, shirt unbuttoned, looking like I'm leaning on the bar with a cigarette and a cheap scotch, talking to some girl 30 years younger than me, because I'm that guy, and I don't care. I'm taking her home. That's who I am. We're winning this game. I'm going to beat all of you. I am Kurt freaking Cignetti, and they're like, holy moly, he is. He's winning. We're winning. We've never had an ounce of gravitas. We've never had an ounce of swagger. We've never mattered, ever. Like, we don't even matter. Teams would pick fans if you went through and named 50 teams in college football that, you have some feeling about one way or the other. Indiana wouldn't come up. They just don't count. They matter as much as like East Texas. That's what they've mattered as much as. And now they're at the center of the college football world. So they say, in some ways, he's already worth the money we're going to pay him. In some ways, he's already worth all of this money we're going to dole out over the next 8 years. It's already paid for because Indiana is being talked about from Tallahassee to Pullman, Washington. This guy has changed their fortunes for good. It's incredible.
Well, that's why you got to pay him over 11 because it is a suck tax. That is the history of your program. You must pay a premium in order to keep him within your program's four walls. And the thing is, what I tell you, this year, he may very well be a good coach that's definitely a good team. I don't know how good that Oregon team is that he beat. They're top 20, they're top 15, but are they top 5 as they were in the AP rankings when he beat them? I'm not so sure. Illinois was decimated by injuries. They did what they were supposed to by beating them 63-10. That'll work. I think that had as much to do with anything as the Oregon win. You go, whoa, because that was one of the few that given week of college football ranked matchups. He might just be above that. Well, he might just be good, not great. But you got to pay it. In this specific instance, given who Indiana is, I understand why they shelled out that much money. You can't afford to lose the one guy you get that could change your fortunes forever. You go all in on that particular prospect. But what it does do is it reinforces the market that we've been talking about, which is if Lane were to hit the open market and this Joker's getting 11 to stay at home, you're looking at $13 and a half, $14 million. And this is more good news for James Franklin, who was just bought out for 50 plus or 40 plus, whatever it is, to be making $12, $13, $14 million on the open market because you're going to have multiple suitors. Typically, you give a bit of a hometown discount if you're going to stay with the university that you're currently with. So if he's making just shy of $12 million a year, if you want to go get a top flight coach in terms of the market value of the coach, the brand value of the coach, and you're a place like Florida State or Florida or Penn State, you're going to have to shell out well over $12 million a year, which is just criminal.
Yeah, so you got to make a choice. You got to make a choice. Do you want big name or you want relative obscure? You save a ton of money. All of this is so rare. It's about fit. It's about timing. It's about who you surround yourself with. Lots of people know the same things in college football. The X's and the O's are not a grand mystery to the vast majority of the people coaching this game at that level. They know what Kurt Cignetti knows. They know what Kirby Smart knows. They all know those things. It's a matter of timing. It's a matter of fit. So if you can't get that guy, whether that's Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, whoever it is, right? If you can't get that guy, then you might as well just go get a guy that you think fits perfectly in your culture, is willing to sign a deal for $4 or $5 million a year, a short-term deal at that, a show me sort of deal, right? A prove it to me sort of deal. Like a Kurt Cignetti sort of deal, the first one.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I'll never forget. I went on a road trip when I was 7th or 8th grade to Vero Beach, spent a week out there with Teddy Larson, who played in the NFL. His family took me over. You've done that with your son's friends. Like you take them on a little vacation.
Yeah.
So we pop over for a week in the summer. We go to Vero Beach, and we're driving over in a Toyota Land Cruiser. Now, the Larsons at the time, the dad was a general contractor. He made so much money. So they could have gotten whatever they wanted in terms of a vehicle. And I remember on the drive over, he said, you know, Tommy, I was going to buy because I said, this is a really nice car. I was going to buy the Lexus version of this. It's the same car. So I decided, do I want to pay for the Lexus logo or I just want to pay for the Toyota logo for the exact same car? I forget the name of what the Lexus version was. So he drove the Toyota Land Cruiser. That doesn't sound great if you're trying to pitch to a fan base that, do you want to pay for the Lexus logo or do you want to get the same damn car and it just got a Toyota logo on it? Can you live with that? I think, honestly, for our sake, given that where we need to allocate monies, which I think is to the players, go get the Toyota Land Cruiser. You don't have to go get the Lexus. It's going to yield you pretty much the same thing. So why pay the extra 30, 40% markup for no good reason when this is all about player acquisition at this point and making sure that you round out a staff who can go hit the trail and the NIL game that can make sure you secure those relationships that the kids like you, but you got to make sure that you come with it from a financial standpoint.
So I talked to a bunch of people who would know more than me about the financials, Tom, and it's something we've talked about and we've kicked around on the show a lot. And you and I think, do a good job of that when we're talking about, how do you weigh what, what money goes where and why. But I did talk to a money person, a financial officer. And I found out that the cost benefit analysis skews heavily in favor of firing Mike quickly. Always. It's just for any team. It's not specific to Mike. Like when you've come to the decision, no matter what, you're in a big contract, you're going to owe a lot of money. Obviously you can pay it out over the course of 6-7 years. So till 2031, right? So you can pay it out from now until then if you had to make the move. If you decided to make the move, you're going to be paying, roughly, $8 to $10 million a year until you pay this thing off at the end. You don't have to pay it all up front. Like Mark Stoops' contract I said yesterday, there's a very different, and not every deal is the same. Kentucky wants to make a move on Mark Stoops. They want to fire Mark Stoops. But there's two things keeping them from firing Mark Stoops. The first one's insane. It came out yesterday that Kentucky is spending more than $20 million on their basketball roster. What are we doing in 2025 out here spending more than $20 million on a basketball roster? Get the hell out of here with that nonsense.
This is something we have been talking about for years. Well, in the period of NIL, it is the most inefficient sport market in the world. College basketball. You do not sniff the return on investment in terms of brand value, TV value for what it costs to pay for a college basketball roster. The market doesn't matter. That's a bubble. That's going to burst at some point. Unless Duke and Kentucky want to keep on doing this, or BYU, who threw their hat in the ring and they were like the Texas Tech of the sport. All you're doing that for is clout, because there is no reasonable return on the investment. With football, there still is. With TV contracts, you can make your money back. $20 million for a basketball roster. That's insane.
It's $22 million. It's $22 million. It's over $20 million. $22 million for a basketball roster. And by the way, this is keeping them from being able to make a move in football. They don't want to. If you marry the $22 million that you're spending in basketball this year, and then you turn around and you got to pay Mark Stoops all of it up front, because his deal was arranged differently. And by the way, I'm going to assume Sexton worked that deal because he works every deal, but he earned his keep there. Huh? How about that? I love me an agent that's going to tell me, hey, listen, if you get fired, they owe you all of it this year. In fact, not only do they owe you all of it this year, they owe you all of it within 60 days of your firing. So within 2 months of the second they tell you to don't let the door hit you in the ass, you're going to have the totality of your deal in your bank account. Holy moly.
Yeah, that's where Sexton brings you in. He goes, all right, take a look at this. They agreed to this. You heard of the big dumper? I call this the big lumper, because they got to lump some this man when he's done. So we did a video that's not going to see the light of day earlier this week regarding how much money Florida State would lose if they keep Mike Norvell, based upon a Harvard Business School study on Power 5 schools and what wins actually bet. It's almost like that Heisman study.
Yes.
Heisman bring you
$20 million. Yeah.
There's all sorts of problems with the video because you're working on fiscal year 2023 dollars, which is not the same. The stadium hasn't been renovated. The ACC deal has changed. So we decided these hypotheticals, there's too many new things. But here are the basics, according to that study. If you keep them, you're losing roughly 10 to 20% in ticket sales year over year, which might be mitigated a little bit by the good schedule next season, but still.
It's also mitigated by the escalators that everybody had to sign on to. But
right.
Go ahead.
Right, exactly. So that's why we didn't run this whole thing, because you're kind of shooting in the dark a little bit, but the study bears out. Booster donations, you're losing around 25% year over year, and that would happen 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
25% of your booster donations. What does that mean in total dollars? 8 to 10 million. Yikes. NIL contributions go down, according to this estimate, by about 25%. That could be $3 million, $4 million. Your merchandising, you lose $1 million or $2 million. And then your other stuff like concessions and parking and incidentals, you probably lose an additional $1 million to $3 million. So when you add all of that up and you look at the percentages, it is quite expensive to have a coach that nobody believes in. It's really expensive. So I buy that all the way, what you're saying about the cost benefit on that.
Yeah, I talked to two people, and they're a lot smarter than me in the world of finance, 100%. And I would acquiesce to their knowledge any day of the week. These are people with advanced degrees. These are people who do it for a living. These are people that have done it for a living. These are people that have, one of them have worked in athletics. I mean, this is so, because I knew I didn't know enough. And that wasn't my field of study. I find it infinitely boring. And so I just thought, you know what? I'm going to call people I do know who know. And let's get to the bottom of this. Like, call, hey, Jeff, you know people who know about this stuff. Call them. They'd be happy to talk to you about it because they love this kind of stuff. So I did, and they do. And they're like, oh, I was hoping somebody would ask me about this. And they were basically saying, hey, man, I've heard you and Tom talk about this on the radio, and every time you do, I'm yelling, no, you have to fire him. It's not a question. You have to do it now if that's the decision you've arrived at. Now, obviously, they're still kind of up in the air. They're believing that Mike might be able to save himself by winning out. But if you've come to the conclusion that he's not the guy, if you've decided this is a fait accompli, then the sooner you can do it, the better.
Well, this is kind of like when we did the legal talk for the ACC lawsuit. I will, of course, yield to experts. But if that number is accurate from Harvard Business School in the study that they conducted, that booster donations are down 20%, 25%, you're already paying for Mike's fixed buyout at that point. At the numbers that we operate at, it's dollar for dollar trade-off in terms of what you would lose versus what you would pay. And that's just in one category. There are all sorts of categories you get hurt in outside of booster donations.
The real scary aspect of all of this, Tom, is when we begin to have the larger discussion and we have to remove our bias and remove all sentimentality for our beloved garnet and gold. And we have to ask ourselves honest questions, because the job market cycle this time around, and we just lost a major player in it, in Curt Cignetti, which began this conversation. It's a very different looking job market cycle than anyone we've ever had to deal with before. And I would also say, what's difficult here is, are we as attractive as we think we are? Yes, we're attractive, but we may not be the best option. I mean, there are going to be some options for coaches and agents that, I don't know where Florida State stands. Remember I asked you, and I said yesterday on the air that it hurts my heart to know that, like, you could call Eli Drinkwitz, but he might have a better job already.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a fair question to ask, and I'm not going to do the rose-colored thing. I think, by definition, if Auburn goes to market, if Penn State goes to market, if Florida goes to market.
Penn State did go to market.
Right. Yes. But they're going to tell you that there is a desperation by virtue of firing their coach. There's a desperation there that all resources will be deployed to your aid. So I think what that does is it undercuts Florida State's pitch, which is, well, we're top 10 in this and top 15 in that in terms of assistant coaching pool and NIL pool. Everybody who's looking for a new coach is going to up their ante in all facets of their program to attract the best candidate. And then if you're talking about on the hoof, SEC existence, the monies, those situations, I think we're behind Auburn, Florida, and Penn State, unless you're willing to take into account path to the playoff right in this moment before we leave for a different conference 3 or 4 years from now, at the longest, I would hope. And then recruiting footprint. Like, maybe those two things a coach sees as differentiators over Auburn or differentiators over Penn State. But then again, Penn State's path to the playoff isn't all that dissimilar from an ACC powers team path to the playoff, because it's not like the Big Ten is littered with good teams. So you'd have to get creative there. Honestly, this is a situation where I would not blame Florida State for going a little cheaper on the head coach, as long as they aggressively message to everybody who matters that doesn't mean that they're not spending that money. If we could have spent 13 on a coach, we're going to spend 6 because we're putting 7 more into everything we need to be successful. You would have to really be able to drive home that message if you don't go big game hunting for a coach, and you would have to effectively drive home that message to get people to go all in.
It's why, though, I mean, it's amazing. You just contemplate all these things because, look, man, Indiana, this gets back to my point. I guess it's a perfect ribbon. I said, I'm not so sure that guy leaves. Maybe Penn State was going to throw the world at him, but I really thought to myself, what a crazy day and age we live in. Curt Cignetti is thinking about, would you go to the University of Florida if they called, or would you stay at Indiana? What a crazy time we're living in. That conversation in no era ever of the sport would that ever be even a fleeting thought.
That's the pitch that you make to a potential candidate is, you think you're the next Cignetti? Because if you are, and you're here, what he did at Indiana is nothing compared to what you will do at Florida State.
Yeah, right. I guess my point is that's fascinating that Cignetti and anybody else in that situation is saying, well, my path to the college football playoff, look, the money is now the same. I'm going to get paid just as much as I would if I went to Florida. I'm going to get it doesn't matter. I get just as much money. So I can be paid equal to anybody that is in a high profile coaching job. And my path to the playoff is better than if I went to Florida. I don't have to navigate the SEC. I don't have to navigate Georgia, Alabama, and I don't LSU. I don't have to do any of that. All I got to do is maybe lose to Ohio State every year because everybody does. And the years that I play, routinely not very good, by the way. If they hadn't gone crazy with the cheating, who knows if they would have done anything. I give Harbaugh credit. He went all in on the cheating. But, they're right back to being average-ass Michigan. They're already back to – Sherrone Moore doesn't look like he's going to survive in Michigan, man. And they don't look special. I like that quarterback, but they don't look special. You just got to be, am I as good as Penn State? Can I beat, I don't know. Is there anybody else who's any good at all in the Big Ten?
Yeah, just score your blow over one of the following: Michigan, USC, Oregon, Penn State. Maybe go 2-2 in those games over the long haul, and you'll be playoff worthy because you've already generated a reputation for yourself at that university too, which is wild to say. The only thing that I'm curious about, and rev share and NIL can help. Are they going to get good at recruiting? Are they going to be a machine in recruiting, or are they going to have to dip into the portal a bunch in order to be successful? That's a problem for them now because they're married to each other. But that would be the one thing if I'm Cignetti, I'd look at these other schools in the Southeast and say, well, oh God, the players I could get, because it's way easier for mom and dad to hop in a car than it is for them to fly to Bloomington. I mean, that would be the one drawback. But he clearly already did that math and said, doesn't matter. I'll be fine here.
Well, financially, he certainly will be. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Mama comes on board to wager, as we did just a week ago, and as we do every week. And away we go. Mama joins us to make some picks. I should point out we only had one game different last week, and I was victorious in that game. So the lead is back to 6, as it should be. I want it at double digits. I want this to be a whitewashing, but Mom's resilient. She's pretty tough. She bounced back last year when she was down about this amount, and not only one, but one going away. So I got to stay on my P's and Q's. There's no doubt. Tommy, if you would, cue it up. Let's do this thing.
And now for another edition of the Family Pick. Nick.
Go to your room!
Ma, the meatloaf!
Take it away, Jeffrey.
Mama, welcome in. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm a little nervous about these games, though, because there's several that are very iffy, in my opinion.
Do you think it's the toughest week yet?
I do. For me, so far. Now, I haven't done great in any of the weeks. So I guess I have to add that little side note. But for me to pick them, yes, I think this has been the toughest one. I've had more head scratchers with this week than I think I have the whole season so far. I can't believe we're already into week 7.
You're throwing stuff off the desk. You're so angry about being in week 7.
I know. Sorry about that. The gator pin fell down.
Well, we don't need that pin anyhow. Here we go, Mom. Let's get to them right off the bat. We both lost last night. That was a fun game to watch.
I tell you.
Yeah, fun game. Chargers, yes, that would be the Chargers. No, that's wrong. I've got that wrong. Stupid having 2 teams in Los Angeles. Dang it. We got the Rams. Is it the Rams?
Yes, at Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't see my sheet. I'm like, where's my sheet?
You want to have your sheet?
I couldn't find my sheet. It just said LA. I'm like, well, there's 2 teams in LA. Which LA is this? Yes.
Why are they doing that to us? I don't understand it either.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good game. Rams at Jacksonville. Who you got?
I got Jacksonville. I don't know. There you go. That's that cross, coast, whatever. I don't know.
No, they're in Mom. They're in London.
Oh, that's right. They are in London. Well, that's really across the coast.
For everybody.
For everybody. That's right. I forgot that game was in London. Well, anyway, I still picked Jacksonville. Now, they did me wrong last week. But anyway, I'm back on the Jacksonville train. We'll see.
Not me. I'm taking the Rams. There we go. All right. Yeah, I've had a good handle on Jacksonville. I pick against them when I need to.
I know.
Yeah.
I might have changed my pick.
So anyhow, we got one different out to shoot. I like that. Saints at the Bears.
Bears.
Dolphins at the Browns.
What a game, huh? Oh man, I took Cleveland.
Me too. Patriots at the Titans.
Patriots.
Raiders at Kansas City.
Kansas City.
The Eagles at the Vikings.
I know. Now that is a good game, I think, and I'm taking Minnesota.
Me too. All right.
Okay, good for you.
Carolina at the Jets.
Oh yeah, that I'm taking Carolina. The Jets are just and now watch the Jets. They'll probably win that game. But anyway, I took Carolina.
I took Carolina as well. Carolina does not play well on the road away from Charlotte. I feel like the Jets could get their first win, but they have yet to win. I can't do it. I'll take Carolina. Giants at Broncos.
Yeah. Now that game, I think they're at Denver. I would have maybe picked the Giants because I think the Giants are kind of getting their act together. And they played well last week, but I hate to pick against Denver at Denver. They usually do well at home. So I took Denver.
Me too. Game of the week, in my estimation, the Colts on the road at the Chargers.
I know. I took Indy.
I did too.
Oh my gosh. See, these are the ones that I was like so back and forth about. I like Indy.
Washington at Dallas.
Yeah. Now that game, who did I pick? I took Washington.
I too took Washington.
Oh, I'm feeling better about my picks.
Green Bay at Arizona.
Green Bay. The game Tom can't wait to not watch.
That's correct. Atlanta at San Francisco.
San Fran. I do not like Atlanta. They're getting to be one of my most disliked teams like Philadelphia. And I don't want them to do good. And I don't like the coach. And I don't want them to win. So I took San Fran.
I keep wrestling with this game back and forth. I really do. I'm struggling a bit on this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take San Francisco in a squeaker, but I really think it comes down to a field goal at the end of the game.
Probably.
2 games on Monday night.
Oh.
Our Bucks are on the road at Detroit.
I know they are. You know, I took the Bucks. Now I know you're going to probably take Detroit. And that's probably a good pick, but I'm telling you right now, I think the Bucks are really doing well, and they might get Mike Evans back. And I just picked them.
Well, I did take Detroit, Mom, and I counted on your loyalty to the Bucks.
I know, and I said that's probably a good pick, but I'll be a nervous wreck. You know that game. I'm supposed to be getting a new Bucks shirt in, and I hope I do because I might wear it for good luck. Although my shirt last week came through for me. So
yes, it did. Yes, it did. Houston's at Seattle, Mom.
Seattle.
All right. So we have 2 different, and once again, it's the Florida teams.
Yeah. How about that? I know. Come on, Florida teams. Well, you know, you want to lose the Detroit game.
I do want to lose the Detroit. I definitely want to lose it.
Split and it'll be okay.
Yeah, I'll be happy about it. All right. You're down 6. Good luck this weekend, Mom. Love you.
All right. Love you too. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There's Mama. 2 games different. They're easy to remember this time around. Once again, I go against Jacksonville. After riding the Jacksonville train early in the season, I'm off that train. I disembarked. I left. I'll be back on it when they stop playing really good teams. And then as far as the Bucks go, I would love to be wrong about that game. And certainly the Bucks could win it. I just don't think they will. I think Detroit will win at home. And as Lee Sterling pointed out last hour, under Dan Campbell, when Detroit loses a game, they bounce back. They bounce back with the quickness. So I'm a little worried about that as well. Those are the 2 that we have different. Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Winding down? Come on, buddy. Be ready to broadcast already. Winding down the hour. Next hour, going to be a little different. We're going to switch it over to the pregame show and talk Florida State, Stanford. Can you tell just how the show has gone today? that to some extent, I don't know how much we relish having the conversation about Florida State Stanford right now.
Well, video-wise, y'all won't see it till tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. If you want to catch it audio-wise, it'll be next hour on 93.3 and be in the pod feeds. It's just, this game is self-evident. It's quit watch. If you don't quit, you will win. If you do quit, you're in trouble, and you might have a decision to make on Sunday. And unfortunately, if the retort to that is that how low we've sunk? Yeah, man, that's how low it is right now. This is, you still with me? You know, the old John Gruden thing, knock if you're with me. All right, are we knocking this Sunday or this Saturday? We'll see.
Got to be incredible right now in those offices. I've thought about it all week long. It's really been weird how this week has trended towards the sense that maybe it's inevitable. You know, it's like win or lose. Like maybe there's an air of inevitability to all of this. I don't see, like, what's happening in Gainesville right now is that it's an open secret that everybody knows that he's getting fired after the Mississippi State game, win-lose, right? I used to be able to say win, lose, or draw, but there are no more draws. Win-lose, that Napier's going to get fired. And there's so much noise in the system and so much smoke that has to be fire, right? I mean, it's just, you've heard it from every corner of the reporting world, the fan world. Like, it's not a very well-kept secret. Everybody seems to understand that in all likelihood, if Napier, that Napier can do nothing to save his job at this point, at the very least, right? And that the game's going to end, Florida has a bye, and it's the perfect time for them to announce it and move on. And I'm not saying that we're there, because we're not there, but it feels closer to being there than I realized. It really does. And I can tell you, just by doing this show and having the conversations that we have on this show, and I'm trying to be very careful with these conversations. I'm not presenting you anything that I haven't at least researched some and heard from people and people that matter. I'm not just randomly talking to Joe Blow about their perspective on this. I'm talking to, real insiders, real people, administrators, and the like. And, you get enough people in a position of either power or a position of gathering facts and information about the people who are in power and what their thoughts are, that after a while you think, oh man, I had a guy text me yesterday when I was doing the whole thing about finding out Mike was in more trouble than I realized, finding out that Mike is really up against it, that there are powerful people who are ready to move, who are angry. And I said to you on yesterday's show, I'm not sure how many of those people you have to have on that side before the lever is pulled and the floor falls out from under Mike. We were talking about that. On my drive home yesterday, I got a text from somebody that I don't hear from often. We've established a relationship over the years. It's a person that will only reach out if they have something serious to talk about regarding Florida State athletics as a whole. And that person just texted, I can confirm Mike's in more trouble than he and you realize. And that blew me away too, because that was yet another person on that side of the ledger, Tom, that's kind of like, hey man, and this person wouldn't do that for the sake of doing it. They did it because clearly they heard from people that matter that those people are done. And that, man, that really, that's what gives this an air of inevitability. And I'm not saying that, look, if they go beat Stanford, nobody's moving on Mike just yet. But boy, the wiggle room is kind of nil. He's kind of got to win out, is the way this feels.
Well, I think he's got to start with a resounding win. I think if it's a close but sloppy win on Saturday night into Sunday morning, I think we may have a busy Sunday. I think the manner in which you win this game matters. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be a 4-score blowout, but it can't exactly be a, wow, Florida State got lucky to win that football game either. I think at that point you start having pretty serious discussions if you've already had the preliminary discussions. And from what you're saying, the whispers are from a lot of different places.
Yeah.
A lot of different places, which is interesting because most of the time big time decision makers are very close to the vest in moments like this. But if you're sharing displeasure to the point where others are being able to pick up that you are not pleased with what's going on, then you got a conversation. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is over within 7 days. It doesn't mean that it's over in the next month, but it's a real discussion. This isn't, oh, Mike's seat is now warm. Let's see if he can get to 8-4. I don't think it's quite that simple either. I don't think it's, you win 8 games this season and you for sure are safe, because I think now people are starting to look at which way the arrow is pointing and which way the arrow is pointing with the fans. Fans matter more than ever in college football because they're asked to spend in more places than they ever have been before. And right now, we didn't make this up, buddy, and we never do, but I'm just saying that post-game show on Saturday is typically reserved for the most fanatical folks to write in all caps, we're the best, we're the worst, and nothing in between. And 80% of the contributions that we got, all right, maybe 70, are people saying, I've given Mike all the time in the world, all the slack on the rope, everything I possibly could. I'm out. I'm done. And when you lose the middle ground, folks, the people that love and hate are entrenched in what they're going to do. Elections are won in the middle of the country, and these types of battles are won in the middle with the folks who can be swayed one way or the other. There is something about the nature of the way that Pitt game presented, either live in the stands or on television, that you have reasonable people walking away with viscerally disgusted reactions to what they saw. And I don't know if that's about the cumulative effect or not, because I don't even think for the 60 minutes that we played, I don't know that it was that bad relative to what we've seen the last year and a half. But for whatever reason, this was the straw for a lot of people that said, I'm done. There's no path back from this. And that's persisted this week.
Well, I think they're tired of losing home games. I mean, sometimes it comes down to simple numbers. Like you play at home, you go, you truck up here, you drive to a game from Miami, from Orlando, from Tampa, from Jacksonville, from Atlanta, and you spend a lot of money to stay at these hotels. They gouge you, they screw you. You've already had to up your commitment to have season tickets. You've had to do all these things, and you were promised some grand reward, and then you got a taste of it. You got a taste of it against Bama, and you're like, okay, I feel so much better that I did that. I'm glad I went ahead and committed that money that I could have spent elsewhere for vacation or any number of other things with my family. I'm glad I did it. I'm supporting my Noles. Looks like we're back on track. What a win. We're the toast of week 0. We're the toast, or week 1, whatever. We're the toast of the whole college football world, where everybody's singing our praises. It feels good to be back. I'm glad I did that. And then you get to revel, you get to marinate in that feeling of success and joy because you played 2 non-competitive games against teams that have no business being on the field with you. And, you get drunk on your own supply and you start feeling really, really good about everything. And then you got to go play some ACC games. And this conference isn't any good. We know this conference isn't any good. Clemson's not even a juggernaut anymore. They haven't been for some time. I mean, Miami's good. That's it. Miami's good. Everybody else is okay. They're pretty good. Maybe any given day, I guess. Louisville, SMU, pretty good. Georgia Tech's pretty good. Not great. Pretty good. Anyhow, but you know that. So you go, all right, well, let's buckle up. Let's get this done. And it's like so predictable that you go on the road against Virginia and all the things you have to do wrong to ensure that this becomes a dogfight, to ensure that this becomes a game that shouldn't be. You do the things that bad teams do to ensure that the other team begins to believe. And right off the bat, and you just rolling your eyes. You're like, okay, are you kidding me with this? Of course that interception on the 5-yard line just happened. Of course we have a chance at a pick 6 to cement the game, and instead you lurch forward, tip it up, and it becomes a 40-yard gain, and they're going to go down and tie. I mean, it's just ridiculous, all the things, and you're pissed about it. But you say, all right, let's see how we respond. Mike's always talking about responding. All right, you come home at night, people are all in. F Miami. Let's go. Let's make this happen. And you get pretty much thoroughly outclassed. What you have is the evidence, unfortunately, of Mike's failures on display front and center with the nation watching. And you came back to town and you're like, they're better there, 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 they're better there. Why? Well, this game was lost 2 years ago in the recruiting battles where you lost out on all those guys to Miami. And so there you go. Now you know you're not anywhere close to where the best team in the league, but also your own state, is your arch rival that you had a head start on, and now they're better than you. And it would take a lot of luck for you to beat them. That's not a good feeling. Okay, 2 straight, gather yourself. We could still have a great year. Pitt's no great shakes. Let's not kid ourselves. They're starting a true freshman walking into our house. And then you lose that game too, and you look lost on defense, and you think another 3-game losing streak. We're over in the ACC. This is Florida effing State. What are you doing, Mike?
Well,
and at some point, all of those facts, coupled with the talent that is, at least from recruiting rankings, not up to where we would like them to be, but it's a top 30 roster. It's a top 30 roster. You're top 15 in NIL spending. Mike's one of the highest paid coaches in all of football. And you just say to yourself, we're in year 6, man. It may not be fair to pile on all those other losses from before, but we're in year 6, man. Get the hell up out of here with this.
Well, I think you also take a look at some of these landmark wins that have been achieved, and you say, was that lucky or was that because we were good? You tried to choke away LSU in 2022. You held on for dear life. No big deal. That was because you were not supposed to win that football game. It felt like a healing moment.
Mm-hmm.
You couple that with the roadie to Clemson in 2023. You couple that with the roadie to Pitt, where Fentrell Cypress doesn't punch out a fumble. Maybe you lose to Pitt that particular day, and you blow it that season. You look at the Jordan Travis game, in which you're getting thoroughly outplayed by an FCS team that he breaks his leg. You look at the Florida game in 2022, in which Jordan has to be Superman because you can't protect the passer. I mean, like, so now you're starting. This is what it forces us to do. We now go and reevaluate all the good. And you find the bad and the good. This is what he's done. And you have a lot more money and resources than Pitt and Virginia. That's the one for me where I go, well, screw you, man. You're at an advantage over those 2 teams. Period. Top to bottom.
Yeah, it's just brutal. If you're sticking around on the radio side, we got the pregame show for you here. It's coming up next. That'll be hour 3 for the pod. You guys be well. Peace for this.